Welcome in. Evan and Tiki on the fan. Got a lot to get to. The Yankees now stink. The Mets have been stinking for a while. We'll get to the football. Obviously, today is 9/11, very somber day. You know, I think every year we all remember where we were personally. We think of the heroes. We think of the victims of the horrible attack that we all suffered 24 years ago. But I'll tell you, every year that goes by, I'll tell you another group of people we need to think about. The 10,000 first responders who were heroes that day, and they're still being affected to this moment because of the health issues that they suffered from going down to ground zero in the hours after the attack, in the days after the attack. And who could have thought that at the time, right? No one was thinking that.
No,
but there are thousands of people, some listening to us right now, who are heroes that day. They're alive, but they're suffering from some of the ill effects of that day. So there's a lot of people to remember on a somber day like September 11th.
Obviously, the thousands of lives that were lost, but you're right about the first responders. And I'll never forget wearing the hats, NYPD, FDNY hats on the sidelines. Jim Fossil had all them made with Giants logos on them. We went down to Ground Zero and saw all those workers tirelessly never leaving. They were constantly in pursuit of finding life and survivors, and it was a surreal experience to have stuck in my memory, unfortunately. But thoughts and prayers to everyone out there who is never forgetting, hopefully.
You know what you guys did so well for us as an active athlete after 9/11? So in the week and a half that followed, where there was no sports and no one cared about sports, we were just looking for it as a distraction. I did wonder, and I was living in D.C. at the time. I was 17 years old, but man, or 18 years old. I still cared deeply about the Mets. I still cared deeply about the Jets. And I was wondering, like, am I going to care this season? Or am I going to realize, like, none of this stuff matters? And there was actually a sense of joy that I had when I was pissed off at Armando Benitez for blowing a game against the Braves, because I said, oh, wow, I can be angry again, but I also realize that it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Like, I was angry, but it was like, all right, there's good perspective now, because it really doesn't mean a damn thing. And sports, I thought, did a really good job of healing us, distracting us, but also reminding us that as seriously as we take it, even to this day, because we'll complain about the Mets and Yankees today, it was a reminder that it just doesn't mean anything. So thank you for that.
No, you're very welcome. I'll never. That was the first time, the game afterwards, back in the days when, you know, we could beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We played against the Chiefs. And hearing the national anthem for the first time post 9/11, it made me cry. It really did. So it changes your perspective on things that you often take for granted.
1,000%. And so I think on a day like today, where there is a lot of negative sports stuff to talk about, it is a reminder that it is all just a distraction. It bothers us in the moment. Like, I'm not going to lie. Was I angry last night at the Mets? Sure. Okay. I was. But I think days like today, when we reflect and think back to 24 years ago, it's a reminder that it matters. It doesn't matter that much. And we can serve as a distraction in talking about it. What happens every year, though, at this time is and I think we all do this. What I'm about to say, every single one of us does. We retrace that day. And there are very few days in our existence on this planet that you remember every detail of. And to me, it's 9/11 and my kids being born. And what's very odd is that those two intersect, because my son was born 9 years ago today. And so I remember I tell him this, because it was weird explaining to him, you share a birthday with the most tragic day, or at least my most tragic day in American history. Wasn't around for Pearl Harbor, so I can't say but for me it was. And those two things intersect, but 9/11/01, every detail I remember. And for you, because I'm sure you've told me, but I think it's interesting for the audience and for me to hear again. You guys played the night before.
Yeah, we played September 10th in Denver. In fact, Denver was opening that brand new stadium.
Wow.
I forget this. It's still Mile High, right? I think it's still Mile High.
Invesco?
Invesco. That's what it is now.
Yeah.
It was still Mile High. And Monday night game, I'll never forget it because Ed McCaffrey broke his femur. Like a big bone in his leg, he broke. He got hit by Sean Williams, and he broke his leg. And we lost. It was the beginning of the season. It's just one of those think about it all plane ride home trips, but it's an overnight trip. So we're flying through the night. We land at 6 o'clock in the morning. And so back then, the restrictions at airports weren't nearly what they are. So most of the team would park at the facility. You take a bus, go back to the facility, get in your car, and you go home. But I lived in the city, And so it was retracing steps. You're landed Newark Airport. I want to just go home. So I drove to the airport and went back in through the terminal, past whoever, because there was one of the planes that crashed that originated from Newark, and then fought traffic on the way home. I was in rush hour traffic after not sleeping on a plane, after losing to the Denver Broncos, and was just annoyed to the world. And then I finally get home. It took me an hour and a half to get home on the Upper East Side. And I tried to go to sleep, and the only thing that was happening is my phone kept ringing. And then I got up, and I watched Matt Lauer for 5 hours, exhausted. 5 hours, wondering where people who I knew and loved were and whether or not they were safe or not. And then the hardest thing for me postscript was coming to the commuter lot that was the Meadowlands and seeing cars that never left. They just stayed there for weeks, and you obviously knew what that meant. And we could see it. It was smoldering, still the 9/11 site from our practice field. So we were reminded every moment of every day. So we'll never forget. For sure.
And it's every year that goes by, the other thing that is so odd to kind of comprehend is there are people listening right now who didn't experience it because it was 24 years ago. So if, we've got teenagers listening, you don't know. It's a historical event.
Even if teenagers, my son doesn't remember this.
Right.
AJ just graduated college. He's, a grown-up now, but he just turned 23.
That's right. Well, how can he remember?
He doesn't know this. He didn't experience it in real time.
And I think to them, it's probably what we experienced when my grandparents would tell me about Pearl Harbor. Like, it's horrible, but it's a historical event. And I think for us, we remember it like it was yesterday, truly like it was yesterday. But as time goes by, there's a new generation where it's a historical event. The one thing there's a lot of things that jump out at me about that day and the days that followed. But the other thing that always sticks with me, and it sticks with me on a day like yesterday where we had that tragedy and just throughout, is how unified we were. And we've never gotten that back. That's not happened since the weeks after. And it was something really small. I was driving in D.C. at the time. No one honked for 2 weeks. I would call my parents and say, it's crazy. Like, that first week when I was driving in D.C., they would honk me like nuts because I didn't know how to drive. I was still young. And for like 2.5 weeks, it's just a stupid small thing, but it's basic. Right. And it sticks with me to this day. Nobody honked the horn.
And then you also remember when people started honking again.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I do. But there was a unification we had as a country that I don't know if we'll ever get back, but I always remember that. In terms of sports, the distraction that we have, here's my concern first about the New York Yankees. While I stand by the fact that I think they're the most talented team in the American League, and I stand by the fact that you just need to get into the tournament. I've said that to you for a while now. Just get in. What concerns me is that last night's loss, and even the night before, has damaged their chances of winning the American League East. It's damaged their chances of getting the #1 seed in the American League with 2 losses to Detroit. And here are the facts. And I know you're big on, hey, history doesn't tell you the future. In the Aaron Boone era, when they host a postseason series or a postseason game, because it's just a wild card game, they are a perfect 5 for 5.
Yes.
Those are the facts. When they are the home team and they have home field advantage in the Aaron Boone era, the New York Yankees don't lose. When the New York Yankees don't have home field advantage, their record is 1-6 in those series. And the one series they won in the Aaron Boone era without home field advantage, I'd argue doesn't count because there was nobody in the stands in 2020.
Yeah, there wasn't the home or away disadvantage, you should say, by being on the road in 2020. But we did this regarding basketball, I believe, why home court advantage doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
I know we've done this many times about the NFL, and a lot of it is because the travel is so much easier, and it's less onerous than it was in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even the early 2000s. It's just really easy. You're staying in highfalutin places. Your entire training room basically goes with you. So you're on the road, but it's not like you're on the road. In baseball, it truly is a difference being on the road than being at home. And it's no more evident in teams' home and away records. The Yankees are 12 games over 500 at home. They're 3 games over 500 on the road. And so there's a discrepancy that it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you know what's funny about that? And the numbers don't back up. I'm about to say it's more emotion. The Mets are another story, and we'll get to them in a few minutes, and their danger zone of not making the playoffs grows by the day. Even though they're 11 games under 500 on the road, like they're literally a bad road team,
yes.
I don't have that same fear. And I think a part of why I don't have that same fear is 1 year ago, I watched them in a 3-game series in Milwaukee find a way.
Right.
I think my issue with the Yankees and why to them and to me about them home field advantage matters so much is because of those results I just laid out. Mm-hmm. Like in the Aaron Boone era, they win when they're at home, they lose when they're on the road. So I don't even have that fear with other teams or even the Mets. And I think that's my big issue. My big issue is more grandiose than what specifically happened last night with their bullpen imploding. It's more the division. And I remember when this tough stretch began, I said it to you, I said it to Sean, I said, look, I know you guys want to beat good teams. To me, it's just about winning the division. If you can win the division, I don't care what your record is against good teams. That is the priority to me. Last night was just another night where winning the division is just becoming more difficult. And based on the Yankees' history, I think winning the division just matters a lot.
No, of course
because
it does.
Look at what their Aaron Boone history track record tells you. 5 for 5 when they have home field advantage and 6 for 7 losing when they don't. And I think that matters. And that's why a loss like last night and a loss like the night before and the Blue Jays coming back 2 nights ago against the Astros, that's why that crap concerns me about the Yankees going on a deep run because unlike most other teams, their history tells me I think they need home field advantage.
Yeah, but I guess the West is still up for grabs, so to speak, because Seattle is still there on the Houston Astros. But unlike a lot of the other divisions, in National League East, that's done. I'm going to say the Central is done, even though Chicago is keeping it close at 5.5 games. The Dodgers and the Padres in the West, that one's a little bit dicey. I feel like the Central, Detroit is running away with this thing over the Cleveland Guardians. So most of the divisions are not fully done. And I don't think the East is done. It's 3 games, but that's not nearly surmountable, especially with 16 to go.
No, I think the Yankees can still win the division. I just think every time they lose like they did last night, it's just more difficult.
Yes.
They got to make up 4 games on the Blue Jays. Now, they also have to hold off the Boston Red Sox, and they have a big series coming up against them. I just think, and this is what I was going through my mind last night as their bullpen was imploding. And we could get into their bullpen because that's a major issue, and it's been a major issue, especially in the second half of the year. But I think winning the division for them is just very important based on the track record. And I remember having this discussion with you guys last year. Like, hey, home field advantage matters. If they get it, they have a great chance to go to the World Series. It's exactly what happened. They didn't have to go into a road series, if you will. And they took advantage of it. And I think the difference between the Yankees...
they didn't until the World Series.
Well, and guess what? They were on the road in the World Series.
And they played terribly.
But that's my point, though. They didn't have home field advantage.
Right.
If they faced the Mets, they would have. And it probably would have been different. So I think winning the division continues to be really, really important. And it's just becoming more difficult. Like losing to the Tigers, whatever. Like really, that's the thing that's going to piss you off because they're about to lose a series to the Detroit Tigers?
No.
It's about just winning any game they can so they can win the division, get home field advantage, and to me, it gives them a great chance to go on a deep run. Now, their bullpen right now, and this is what's also scary about the state of the Yankees. In the Brian Cashman era, I just gave you the Boone era. Let's go the whole Cashman era. They have consistently had good bullpens.
Yes.
Consistently. Right now, they have the 22nd best bullpen ERA in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that's bad. And it feels worse because you're getting good starting pitching.
Yes.
You got good starting pitching 2 nights ago with Will Warren. He went 6+ innings. You got really good pitching from Carlos Rodon last night. He went 6 innings. And then you get into the bullpen, and, yeah, maybe they've given up 2 runs. And still, ultimately, you got to hit and score. Yankees, just like the Mets, have to hit and score. But you have a good starting outing. And then all of a sudden, there's 8 more runs on the board.
Look, the offense needs to hit more. There's no doubt.
But I don't even know if it mattered last night.
Well, it probably doesn't, but you can't let your bullpen let games slip away like that. And I couldn't believe it when Jack Curry said it on the postgame last night. He's like, yeah, so this is the first time in the history of the Yankees. And before I continue, anytime a statement starts with first time in the history of the Yankees, you better stop and listen.
Right.
The Yankees have been around for 5,000 years. So when something starts with first time in the history of the Yankees, it matters. First time in the history of the Yankees, they've lost or given up or lost by 10 or more runs in back-to-back home games. Now, the Yankees have had some bad years. There was the Horace Clarke era. For that to have never happened until last night and the night before, is kind of nuts. And here's the other thing. I talk about Yankee bullpens and the successes that Brian Cashman has had. To give you perspective, last year, they had the 6th best ERA out of their bullpen in Major League Baseball. The year before, they were number 1. Mm-hmm. The year before, they were number 3. The year before that, they were number 4. So you get the idea. Of course. They always have a top 5 bullpen. Right now, they're 22nd. Do you know the last time the New York Yankees had a bullpen ERA that was 22nd or worse?
No.
You want to guess, Sean?
I'm going to guess never.
Well, the answer is not never,
okay.
Because
all right,
I was prepared to be shocked.
If I'm going to make an educated guess, I'm going to say 2022.
2022. That is incorrect. The answer is 2007.
Oh, so
the last year of never is not close to 2007. It just means it's been a long time. Like, W was president. I mean, it was a long... Joe Torre was manager. We could just stick with that. The Guardians were the Indians. Roberto Hernandez was Fausto Carmona. CC Sabathia pitched in Cleveland. It was a long time ago since the Yankees had a bullpen that, at least statistically, was this bad. So it's abnormal because Brian Cashman has done a wondrous job over the years building a good bullpen. And I kind of shrug my shoulders at this one because Luke Weaver is now struggling. We saw it last night. Tim Hill can't get a right-hand hitter out for the life of him. Camilo Doval, bro, I don't know, man. I thought that was a good trade. I apologize.
Well, Sean said it yesterday. He is outside of the trust.
Who's in the trust?
Not very many.
2 people.
Bednar,
and I'm still putting Cruz there, even though he sucked 2 nights.
So Luke Weaver's out now too?
I got to be honest.
I mean, he keeps giving up home run. I mean, it's a home run every outing. That's the problem.
Yeah, you trust Luke Weaver to an extent.
Yeah.
I think you should trust Luke Weaver, but understand going in, this is not the same Weaver from last year.
And this feels like what could have been a strength is now becoming a weakness. And the Yankees of the last 10 years, this isn't a weakness. Bullpens are strengths. So that is certainly a warning sign over the last few days and really the last few months. And much like David Stearns, who we're about to get to, we thought, and I'll raise my hand, we thought Brian Cashman hit a home run at the trade deadline improving this bullpen. I certainly did. That's not the case. And it hasn't worked out. On the Mets side, the same thing. I mean, Ryan Helsley last night, and I know the game was well out of reach, but if you're looking for a positive omen, like, oh, Helsley's figuring it out. He can't figure out anything. And here's where I'm at with the Mets, T, because we're going to have to do this every day.
Yeah.
A few days ago, I said to you, look, they're not playing well. They haven't played well in a few months. But my confidence rating that they're going to make the playoffs is 75%. They lose. Yesterday, I come to you, I say it's down to 72%.
Yeah.
Last night, they get blown out again. And in conjunction, the Reds come back on the Padres to pull within 2 games. So with that data out there, do you want to ask me my new percentage?
Yes. What is your confidence percentage in the Yankees, the Mets, I should say, making the postseason, Evan?
It is now dipped to slightly above 50-50. And that's a big drop.
Yeah.
It feels like I still lean towards playoffs, but it's starting to feel like a coin toss because here's what's going on now. And I'm going to give you a basketball analogy for all the hoop fans out there. You know you have a big lead in the NBA, and you're looking at the clock, and you're just holding on for dear life because you have a big lead? 25-point lead with 12 minutes to go?
You're playing not to lose.
Okay. The Mets have basically blown their entire 25-point lead. It is now a one-possession game. It's a 3-point game. But there's only a minute and a half left. Now, anyone who watches basketball will tell you, a 3-point lead with a minute and a half to go?
That's nothing.
That's nothing.
It might as well be even.
Yes. And that's kind of how I feel now because now I'm analyzing the Cincinnati Reds schedule. I'm looking at the Mets schedule. Like the Reds play the A's now over the weekend. They play the Cardinals. They play the Cubs. They play the Pirates. And then they're going to wrap up the season against the Brewers, who we have nothing to play for. Like, let's just be honest. That's a horse bleep schedule.
Right, it is. But the Giants don't. The Giants actually, who were technically closer?
No, they're the same now.
No, they are the same. Because
I apologize. The Reds are a game closer. So here's the deal. Right. The Reds are 2 back.
Because they have the tiebreaker.
And they're literally 2 back because if they tie the Mets, they pass the Mets. The Giants are 2 back, but they need to pass the Mets.
Right, but they have a harder schedule.
Correct.
Because they play the Dodgers.
That's why I brought up the Reds more than I brought up the Giants.
Yeah.
But that lead of a 2-game lead with only 17 games to go, and I just gave you Cincy's schedule, and we know the Mets schedule, like it feels in NBA terms like it's a 3-point game with a minute and a half to go. And if I have a 3-point lead with a minute and a half to go, and you ask me, and don't use my team to make fun of me, like it's a regular good basketball team, like a functioning team.
You're taking out emotional insurance?
I'm taking out emotional insurance, and I'm telling you, I feel like we'll win, but it's slightly above 50-50. And that's where I'm at with the Mets.
No, you're right.
And I don't know how anyone
I don't know how you could be any more confident.
Well, because they keep losing.
Well, they keep losing, and it's all different types of ways to blow it. Yes, it's generally the pitching. Starting pitching's not getting deep. But yesterday, how many batters did they hit? 4?
Yeah, 4 guys, both the same way. Yeah. Back foot, sliders. I mean, back foot off speed pitches.
Right, exactly. Like, how does that happen? How does Clay Holmes and then Gregory Soto both hit 2 batters?
Well, they may stink, Tiki.
But they don't.
Well, one could argue that.
They do right now, but they don't.
But, Tiki, right now the entire team stinks. They're not hitting. They're not pitching.
So this is a crisis of confidence that is permeating throughout the entire team.
Well,
and when you get to that conversation, you start talking about the manager. Now, I don't think Mindy's in trouble, but that's what happens when everybody is making similar type mistakes.
Well, it's funny. Let me go back to the Yankee game for a second. David Cohn called the Yankee game last night. David Cohn said something about the Yankees that I think can work here as we talk about the Mets and the Yankees. And I don't know if this jumped out at you guys. It jumped out at me. David Cohn said lack of hitting and not pitching well in the bullpen, and the word he used can be contagious. And it starts to spread. And in the case of the Yankee bullpen, their horribleness over the last 2 nights feels like it's spread.
Right.
It went from one guy to another guy to another guy, and before you know it, the Yankee bullpen had 2 historically bad nights in a row.
Yeah.
I think the Met issues feel contagious, Teak.
Yeah, they do, which in a weird way, because I know people called yesterday and said this, and I know people are thinking this, especially after in the 8th inning, Juan Soto goes Juan Solo and hits a home run that meant absolutely nothing.
Got him 1 run closer.
But isn't it better for a guy like Juan Soto to be selfish and try to lift guys with his play?
I have no issue with Juan.
If we're talking about like contagiousness of play, good or bad, ripping. I almost feel better that Juan Soto is trying to be selfish, and I hope other guys say, I need to be selfish too.
Juan Soto did nothing wrong last night. Like hitting a home run when you're getting blown out in a game, people act like that's a problem. It's not a problem. It's only a problem when you don't get big hits elsewhere. And Soto has obviously been relatively hot to a historic level at times over the last 2 months.
He had 3 hits yesterday.
Right. He almost missed another home run starting off the 4th inning. That should have been a triple if the umpires had guts. So Juan Soto's not an issue. The issue is Francisco Lindor doesn't have a hit in this series. The issue is Pete Alonso's lacked the impact hit over the last few weeks. The issue is Francisco Alvarez looks like a different guy since coming off the IL. The issue is the Mets starting pitching's been bad for a while. The issue is their bullpen can't keep games close.
Right.
So their issues are spread all over the place. It's not Juan Soto. He had 3 hits last night. Anyone picking on him for hitting a solo home run in the 8th inning, like what do you want him to do? Not
Juan
try?
Solo.
You want him to not try at that point? Like if he had gone 0 for 4 in the game and left the country on base and then hit a solo home run, fine. But right now the Mets are bad at everything. So I am slightly above 50-50 that they're going to make the playoffs. Some may say that's confident. When we talked to you the other day, Teak, you said you're about 65%.
Yeah.
Where are you now with the Mets making the playoffs?
I'm 50-50 with you.
50-50.
Yeah. Because by the end of this weekend, they could be out of the playoffs.
They could be tied for a playoff spot, which means behind the Reds.
That's right. So
by Friday night.
So out of it.
Yeah. You're 100% right. So you've dropped from 65% to 50-50.
Yes.
Both Sean Morash and Tommy Lugauer said they were, quote, 100% confident the Mets would make the playoffs. Where are you now? Sean first.
90%.
So you're still very confident, but you dropped a little bit.
I must admit I'm wavering a bit here.
But wavering, you're at 90%.
I don't trust the Reds and Giants still.
There's nothing that the Mets are doing that makes you say they're going to hold on.
Correct.
All they have to do is not lose, 7 more games?
I cannot make this clear enough.
But they're going to get to the point where they're going to have to win like 8 games.
They're going to have to win games now.
I know.
No doubt. And there's nothing about
Real quick, just to get back to the basketball analogy, when you're up 3 with a minute and a half to go, you probably have to make one more shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you probably.
Yes, and it'd be healthy if you made 2.
Yeah.
But what do we expect them to lose out here? You know what I mean?
I mean, they've lost 5 in a row, Sean.
I know.
And they have not been competitive.
You're still very confident. You're 90%.
Right.
Tommy, where you at?
I am still at 100% confidence level. I look at the rest of the schedule. Look, they ran into a buzzsaw here in Philadelphia. There's no way around it. They're going to get a team in the Rangers that are due to lose. They're red hot, so they're due. The Padres have been quietly collapsing, but no one's been able to take advantage of that, and they're a loser franchise. You have the Marlins there. The Cubs have not been playing great baseball either.
Why would you dismiss the Marlins? All they've done is give us some of the most torturous losses in the history of the franchise.
So did Atlanta, and we got our lick back last year. It doesn't always mean that they're going to stick it to us. Now, they got theirs on the 3 out of 4, but we owe them now last week of the season.
So you're 100% confident?
If the season ended today, the Mets would be in the postseason. I am 100% confident.
Do you have any weekend shifts this weekend?
No.
Thank God, because we won't be able to say that Saturday in all likelihood.
No, you're right.
They go out the window.
You're going to get you would have gotten a bunch of callers telling you to shut the hell up, Tommy.
We'll get to your calls next, 888-808-1019.